All right, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on when you are watching this webinar recording. My name is Lillian Barnes. I am the Grants Online Operations Manager as well as the Grants Online Lead Trainer. And we are going to actually start our second module of our Grants Online New FPO series. The first module was our introduction. So hopefully you've been able to look at that particular video and kind of get an overview of the Grants Online system and where we're going. And this will be the first time now that we're going to log into the system and start our hands-on exercises. This particular module is the Universal RFA creation. RFA means Request for Applications. This is a document that we have to create in Grants Online so that when we are ready to start processing applications, we will be associating those applications with this particular document in Grants Online, and it will then, the processing will move forward from there. I will be logging in as the assigned federal program officer that I use in the training class, and we will also be referring to our training manual and to our process maps. These are resources that we have available for you on our training website. Just as an FYI, our training website that you're going to see in this particular webinar is the current one as of today, right now, which is April 16th, 2020. However, very soon, within the next week or so, we are actually migrating our training website to a brand new server underneath the NOAA.gov domain. It'll be a brand new look and feel. Hopefully that it'll be something that will be useful to you, helpful, and a little bit more engaging as you go through the site. So just wanted to let you know that in the future, when you navigate to our training website, it'll look different from what you will see in this video. Additionally, I wanted to let you know that my colleague, Yvette Bowser, is also with me on the webinar. She's going to be helping me out as we move through the steps for Universal RFA creation, so you may occasionally hear her voice in the webinar also. All right. So we're going to get ready to get started. What you see on the screen right now is the login screen for Grants Online. We are currently utilizing our training system. So in the URL up here, you should see Grants Online training. However, our production system looks exactly like this page too. So they look alike. Okay, I'm going to start off by logging in as the assigned program officer that I use for training, which is G-Student. And as you're doing your exercises, you should have user ID and password that you will be using. Just be very careful as you're logging in, because if you put in the password incorrectly 3 times, you're going to get your account locked out, and you're going to have to contact our office to help you out with that. All right, this is the opening page of Grants Online. Once you log in, you're going to come to our advisories page. And one of the other features I want to make sure that you know about before we get started is our Help tab right here. So I'm going to occasionally be going over to our training page from inside of Grants Online. And when I do that, I'm going to click on the Help tab. We'll do that in a few minutes. But I'm going to start now with creating our Universal RFA. Now, in our training package, which I have already downloaded from our website, and I have here on this tab, we are on this page. We're going to start off. This is from our November 2019 version of our training package, and this is page 29. So let's go ahead and first of all, just take a quick look at some of the data fields before you start creating your RFA, again, request for application. These are just some of the data fields that you're going to need to know before you get started. Page 30 has those data fields, and page 31 now is our process map that we're getting ready to run through as we go through the hands-on steps of creating the Universal RFA. Okay, we're going to start off as the RFA creator, and then we're going to enter some data fields and then go through this particular process map right here. Let me make it a little bit bigger for you. Let's see. Can I make it a little bigger right here? There we go. So hopefully you can see it a little bit better right now. And we're getting ready to start right here with beginning to create our RFA. So let me flip back over to Grants Online. I'm going to start with my RFA tab. I don't have anything in my inbox yet because I have not, started any workflow. So we start with the RFA tab, and we're going to create RFA. This time we're getting ready to do a universal RFA, which is any one of these radio buttons beside the first one. Competitive is a category unto itself, and then all of the others are what we call universal RFAs. We're going to use the non-competitive radio button for this exercise, and we're going to create new from scratch. There is also an option, as you see here, to create new from existing. So if your program office happens to have one out there that's similar to the one that you want to develop, you can start from one that was previously created. But for the purposes of the training, we're actually going to start from scratch and fill in every data field from the beginning. Now I'm going to click on my Create RFA button, and it's going to bring me up the first screen that I'm going to need to start entering data. So I'm going to give my RFA a name. This is going to be my webinar RFA or Universal RFA creation. And this particular one that we're doing is April 2020. The series of webinars that you're going to be viewing have been mostly recorded in December, but a few of them are being re-recorded, and this is one of them. So this is now April 2020 that we're actually recording this particular webinar. I'm going to put in our current fiscal year, which is 2020. Our training program office is OCPO, One Commerce Program Office. And program officer, I'm going to use student 00, which is the one that I use as an instructor. You're going to have your own student number. So when you're doing the exercise, be sure to select the one that has the number that you've been given for your hands-on exercises. The CFDA number that we use in training is 11.998, which is not a real CFDA number out there. CFDA means Catalog of Federal Domestic Assistance, and that is a set of numbers that are given throughout the federal government to all grant programs in the federal government. Every grant program falls underneath one of these particular numbers. All of the Department of Commerce CFDA numbers start with 11, and then there are 3 digits to the right of the decimal point, and so the 1998 that we're using for training is not actually one that is currently registered at this time. All right, at this point, we have now all of our required fields on this opening screen. So every place where you see an asterisk, we have data. I'm going to click my Save button. Now we're going to start on this next screen that has more details, and we're going to just basically go throughout the screen and enter all of the details that are required. The required data fields, again, will have an asterisk beside them. If the data field is not required, we won't be covering them in this training, but if you believe that it's something important for your program, please check with your program manager to determine if you need to enter data. Notice that the system has now created what we call a funding opportunity number. This is an identifying number for this RFA, and whenever the application package for this RFA gets posted out at grants.gov, it'll be associated with this particular opportunity number. When the applications that are associated with this particular RFA are submitted at grants.gov, it will flow from grants.gov back into Grants Online and attach itself to this RFA based on this number. So let's scroll down here. First data field that has an asterisk is the anticipated federal funding amount for all recipients that you're using underneath this particular RFA. It could be one or it could be more. So I'm just going to put in $1 million for right now. Okay. And now we're going to put in our application due date. The recommendation that we give out is that if you put the end of whatever fiscal year you're in, then you can use this RFA over and over throughout the fiscal year. And if you anticipate maybe having a need for it further in the year, you don't have to create another one. So I'm going to put 9/30/2020, and I'm going to put 11:59 as the time. We will discuss the importance of that time a little bit more when we get into the competitive RFA creation. For now, you just make sure that you put in a particular time here in this box. This is the time that if it was competitive, you would have to really pay attention to determine whether an application was submitted on time. But again, with the Universal RFA, it's not as important. Let's go on down to the next data field, anticipated award date. It's not an asterisk, so we're going to skip that data field and move down to selected federal addresses. This particular data field is where you are going to pick from our database the address of the program office that is associated with this RFA. I'm going to click on View/Edit. That allows me to do a search in the database. On the program office name that we're using for training is OCPO. That's our One Commerce program office. I just did a search, and now I have picked up my program office. Notice it will return any record that has this string of characters in the name. So because I knew that string of characters was in the name, I was able to use it and pull back the program office that I wanted to use. So I'm clicking on it, and I'm going to click Add to RFA. If you are doing a collaborative effort with another program office, you can add that particular program office by doing another search, Add to RFA, and then it'll be in the list below. And once you're done, click the Done button, and you will now see that address on the main screen. Our next section are the actual people within that program office that are the main points of contact for this RFA. RFA, again, is Request for Application. So it's very similar. We're going to click View/Edit. And we're now going to search for the people that we want to list on the screen as a point of contact for this RFA. The user I'm using now is Grant Student 00, so I'm just going to put 00 in the last name. I'm going to do a search. And I have now picked up a couple of users that I have in the training database, and I'm going to select the one that I want to use right now. Add to RFA. And done. Again, if you are doing a collaborative effort, if there are multiple people that need to be listed as points of contact, you can continue to search and click Add to RFA till you've gotten everyone that you want to include. When you're done, click the Done button, and that information is again listed on the main page. Now, because this is a universal RFA, not competitive, that means we already know who what organization is going to be receiving the funding. So we will, at this point now, enter onto our Universal RFA page the one or more organizations that we know will be giving funding to. So I'm going to click on Add New. And I need to find out of my database the organization that we're going to use, so I'm going to click Search. Notice you cannot enter any data directly in this gray box. You have to click on the Search data field. And now we can look for the organization that we want to give the funding to. There is an organization that we use for training, so I'm going to look them up by their DUNS number. The DUNS number is currently the unique identifying number for our organizations. The federal government is currently in the process of transitioning from the use of DUNS numbers to a number that is being called the UEI, Unique Entity Identifier. That is a year-long project. It has already started. It will probably be completed in fiscal year 2021, sometime during that fiscal year. We don't know the ending date, but sometime during fiscal year 21, we will be transitioning from using the DUNS number as our unique identifier to this new number. For now, for this particular webinar, we're going to go ahead and move forward with using the DUNS number as the identifying number for our organization. So the one that we're using in our database has a DUNS number of 0676389557. Let me do a search. And I have found the organization that we're using here in our training webinar. And I'm going to select this organization. But I do want to point out, if you are entering a new organization that we have not set up in our database, you do have a link to allow you to do that. There are pages in our training manual that will step you through the process of adding a new organization. But for now, we're just going to select one that we already have. And now you see the name of the organization showing up in our recipient information box. Once I click Save, I now get two more links that I can use, but these two links are not required. The notification contacts link will allow you to enter information for the people at that organization that you want to contact to let them know how to submit their application via grants.gov. If you already have an application that may have been sent into you to your program office already, you don't need to do this because you already have the application. However, if you want to notify your contacts and let them know how to submit their application, you would use this particular link. Additionally, for planning purposes, there's another link that allows you to enter how many applications you expect to process via this RFA. Again, not a required field, but available if you need to use it. I'm not going to use it for this webinar. I'm just going to click Save and return to main. And as you see, we're moving through our RFA, beginning to fill out the main screen. Let me flip over to our student package one more time. Let's see how we're doing as we're moving along the screen. I'm going to go back over here and let me scroll down and see how we're doing. Yvette, please feel free to step in, pipe up if there's anything that I need to mention as we're going along. All right, so this is showing how we have just entered the addresses for the RFA, this is the federal address. This is where we put in the recipient information. And let's keep going. We're now on the screen here. We're going to now start adding some more of the data fields that are on the main page. So let's go over here. The next Data field that we need to enter are our mission goals. So I'm going to click the View/Edit. Whatever bureau you are a part of within Grants Online, you should have one or more mission goals that are listed on the screen. And basically, you just select. Normally for NOAA, only one goal is selected for each RFA, but you may need to select more than one if that's really the requirement for your program. I'm just going to select one. I'm just going to click the top one, click Add to RFA, and click Done. This brings my mission goal back to my main page right here. And now I'm going to come down to the next section for application routing. Application routing is telling the system who is going to get the applications when they're submitted from grants.gov and pulled in to our system. Who is notified within your program office that an application has come in so that they can begin working on processing that application. We're going to use the easier method right now for this one, and when we get into the competition, we will look at how state routing works. But for right now, we're going to just show you workload routing. So I click the workload radio button, I click View/Edit, and then on the next screen, I'm going to be able to select which program officers within my program office, and in this case, it does not have to be a certified. It could be a contractor with a program office staff role. It could be an uncertified federal program officer or a federal program officer. All of their names, anyone associated with your program office that has those roles would show up here. And then you select which ones that you want to be in the pool to receive the applications that are going to be coming in. If you select more than one person, then the applications as they come in will just kind of go through the list that you have here in a round robin type of methodology. All right, I'm going to click Save and return to main. So now I have set up my assigned program officer who's going to be on the applications when they come in. At this point, I need to identify the forms that are going to be used in the application package that I post at grants.gov. Remember, this is a universal RFA. We will not be posting a full-blown FFO or NOFO, which is a Notice of Federal Funding Opportunity. That is a more official document that is posted when we have a competition. But when we are doing a not competitive type of a announcement out at grants.gov, we basically are only going to be uploading an application package and maybe a 1 or 2 page document to provide additional instructions to our applicants. So we want to know which forms we want to upload. In order to select those forms, we've got 2 drop downs here. So you first decide which form family you're going to use. Within Grants Online, we have the SF424 form family available and the SF424 R&R. The individual short forms have not yet been developed. So those 2, even though they're in this list, are not actual options for you to use. So we're just going to stick with the SF424 family, and within that family, we have multiple options that you can select right here. And these are just for NOAA. You would have whatever options are available for your particular bureau, depending upon what bureau you are a part of. But for NOAA, we're going to just select our standard one at the bottom, our standard non-construction package. And these are the forms that are going to be included in that application package. Notice that there are 2 sections here. One says mandatory and one says optional forms. Just because we have a section here that says optional forms doesn't mean that we are not requiring that those forms be submitted. The reason why they're split this way is because at grants.gov, their validation process will only validate the forms that are included underneath the mandatory forms section. Underneath the optional forms, we are asking for our applicants to actually submit those, but they will not be validated at grants.gov. And you may actually get an application package that is missing one or more of those forms because there's no grants.gov validation. So please just bear that in mind. All right. Additionally, for a Universal RFA, your program office may have developed a small PDF file to provide some additional information to your applicant. You can upload that here in this attachment section. So I'm going to click on here. I'm going to get my test file and pick up on my test PDF right here. And this is my instructions to applicant. Okay. I'm going to save that attachment. So as this particular RFA moves through the workflow to get posted at grants.gov, whoever does the posting for you will pick up that attachment and put it out at grants.gov for your applicants. At this point, we're going to click Save and return to main. Let's scroll down in the page, see how we're doing. It's getting filled in. We're now at a section that says minimum requirements. These 5 items are the defaults that the system creates for the Universal RFA. You do not have to stick with those. So just make sure that you connect with your program manager and determine what it is that you actually need to review when an application comes in, because whatever you put on this minimum requirements checklist, the grants management folks are going to make sure that you adhere to your own minimum requirements checklist. So this is your checklist. You get to put on it what you think is appropriate for your particular grant program. Remember that if an application comes in and does not meet these minimum requirements, the system, Grants Online, still allows you to move forward with processing if you choose to do so, but it will be questioned by your grants manager, management division specialist when it gets to that point. So let's go ahead and click on View/Edit. And we're going to modify the default minimum requirements that we have here. Just make it a couple of fewer questions. So we're going to take off the data management plan. Maybe that doesn't apply at this particular point. And we're going to say, we're going to take off received on time. So we want to make sure that we have correct federal funding, correct match, and a complete application. Those are the only things we're going to check when it comes through from grants.gov before we move forward with processing the award package. I'm going to click Done. Notice I did have options to add others if the default list did not include a particular check that I wanted to make. You can add your own. All right. As we're going down through the rest of this page, there are no more asterisks. That means there is nothing else on this page that is actually required. We will be exploring the next 3 items: specific award conditions, matching requirements, and review events when we do our competitive processing. So we're not going to do them here underneath Universal. But I do want to mention that for specific award conditions, there is a whole quick reference guide that we have out on our training site. Let me go back up here to our Help tab. Now I'm going to use the Help tab to navigate to the training site. I'm going to scroll down on this page and click on this link to access the training site. So on our training site, we have links for the various user bases that we have in Grants Online. I'm going to click on Federal Program Office Training Resources. And now I'm looking for the Special Award Condition Quick Reference Guide. I happen to know it's number 7 on this page. So here it is right here. But of course, just like any web page, you can just do a Control F and type in specific. And it already has come down to number 7. So as you see, here's number 7, and we have a link right here to our Specific Award Conditions Quick Reference Guide. It used to be called Special Award Conditions. Some people will still say Special Award Conditions. It's the same thing. We just renamed it based on the update in the latest federal regulations to CFR Part 200. All right, let's go back to Grants Online. Let's scroll down and see where we are. I believe we have completed all of the required fields on this page. So now we're going to send our RFA through the approval process so that it can be posted at grants.gov and so that you can be prepared to get applications in for processing. So let's go ahead and click on our routing slip button here. And we'll come up with a list of users that will have to get this particular task in Grants Online. Notice for the universal routing slip, there's actually only 2 required users in the workflow. It starts with yourself as the RFA creator, but there is a section here in the middle where you can add optional reviewers. Based on the requirements of your particular program office, you need to determine if there's anybody else that needs to review this particular document before it goes on to get posted at grants.gov. Again, the only thing that will get posted at grants.gov will be the application package and the attachment that you had. If you had no attachment in NOAA, our Grants Management Division has a generic attachment that has some cost information, cost analysis information that we give to our recipients as they're developing their application, and they will upload that generic information, okay? So we are going to now click Start Workflow. If you wanted to save the route and you're not ready to move it on for posting, you can do that, but we're going to click on Start Workflow. It does a save at the back inside the database, and you get this pop-up warning. Once you start this workflow, you're not going to be able to change it. So if you want optional reviewers, make sure you put them in before you click your Start Workflow button. Okay. At this point, we are now generating our first task in Grants Online. You will now see that when you navigate to your inbox, here's a task right here. We could tell it's a task with our drop down, but if I navigate to my inbox and tasks, I will see right here, today's date is my RFA I just created, and I have a approve or review task for my RFA. So I'm going to click on this. It takes me right back to that task that showed up a second ago. On my drop down, I can review the details that I just put in, but I know what they are since I put them in. So I'm ready to go ahead and send this over to, in NOAA, it would be the Grants Management Division, where they are the ones that post my RFA out at grants.gov. If you have any comments right here for them, please expedite. And also, don't forget to be polite. All right. And then you go ahead and send it on over to the Grants Management Division or to have whoever does the posting of the RFA within your organization. Now, at this point, we have taken a couple of steps. We no longer have the task in our own inbox. We want to know where it is. In order to do that, If you go up to the top of this white section of your Grants Online screen, you will see what we call breadcrumbs. And those are basically links that let you to go back to previous pages that you visited in this session. So I'm going to click on the one that says RFA. And now, the only thing that I can do is to look at it. But I can't take any action. When I look at it, it's going to be locked. Let's take a look. Okay, you see it's locked? That's because it's no longer in my inbox. I've already moved it forward in the workflow. So if I get off of the screen, I will see the status right here, RFA Publisher Actions Not Started. And then I can scroll down onto this workflow history link, and I can see the people who have this task. And in the case of posting an RFA, the task will go to anyone who has this role within your Bureau of RFA Publisher. As soon as any one of these people pick up the task, it will go out of the inbox of the other folks. So they won't be stepping on each other's toes trying to do the same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log off as the assigned federal program officer. I'm going to log in as our grant specialist, who happens to also be the person that will post this at grants.gov. Okay. All right. So now I am signed on as a grant specialist that we use in our training class. I'm going to click on tasks. And here's the task I just received from the program office that says Post Application Package. I'm going to click on View. At this point, they can look at the details of the RFA that you just created. They would at that point then open up another window for grants.gov, and then they would transfer the data that they need, manually transfer. We don't have an automated push of our RFA into grants.gov. So our folks that have the role of RFA publisher will manually key in to grants.gov the pertinent data fields that you just put on the screen, and they will upload the document that you attached, or they will upload the generic document that is kept at the Grants Management Division. Okay? Once they have completed that process, they will just click here, Application Package Posted, and Submit, and that will complete their task. If they have questions, they do have an option to send it back to you so that you can make revisions. We're going to stay on the happy path, though, and select Application Package Posted and Submit. Once that's done, let's go back to our process map. I'm going to scroll back up. This is our training manual, and I'm going to go back up to the earlier screen and look at our process map. Here we are. We have just completed the routing slip. We started the workflow. We skipped the optional reviewers. We didn't do that. We went directly to the RFA publisher, who has now posted the application package. There is one last task that has to be completed before we can move forward with processing applications. And that is a task that is in your inbox as the RFA creator, So you have to now click on this task that says Notify Recipient. Now, even though you may not be actually using the system to do that, the Grants Online requires that this task be put into an in-progress state to move forward in the workflow. So let's go back here to Grants Online. I'm going to log off as a grant specialist. I'm going to log back on as the federal program officer. And let's see what task we have in our inbox. Here is a task, like I said, Notify Recipients. Notice at this point, the task status says Not Started. So we are going to now click on View, and we're going to select the option that says Notify. Now, as long as you did not put any contact information on the RFA, then nobody will be notified, and you don't have to worry about any emails going out. However, if you actually do want to notify your recipients within using Grants Online to let them know you just posted the package, this will cause that email to go out to your recipient to let them know they can go and upload their application package. So let me click Submit here. All right, we have now put this task into an in-progress state. Let's go back to our training manual, and let's scroll down here because I want you to see the email should you choose to use it. This is a sample of the email that will go out to your user, to your grant recipient representative. Let's see if you can see it a little bit better this way. And basically, you are telling them how to go to grants.gov to submit their application package, and you're giving the information about this RFA so they'll know exactly where to look at grants.gov. They also have that funding opportunity number, okay? This number is not available to the general public because this is a not competitive RFA. It does not show up when the general public goes out to do searches at grants.gov. It's only available to someone who has this exact number to put into the system to look for it. All right. Here's that contact information that we put in when we were developing your RFA. That's the person for them to contact and their office. All right. So at this point, we have completed the steps for processing, creating the Universal RFA, and we will be discussing in a separate webinar how to now process the applications that come in. Hopefully you found this informative.